Andrew, the Treasurer hinting once again that the government won't be increasing the superannuation guarantee in line with the legislation next year.
Strongest hint yet, Kieran, just before in that interview with you. Essentially, many thought that the government would allow the increase of compulsory super from 9.5% to 10% next year, and then the move to 12% they'd delay or cancel. He's indicating here that there will be a deferral of the move to 10%. Have a listen.
Ultimately, what we have to consider is the timing of that particular issue.
Sounds like you'll delay it further.
Well, we're considering it.
Let's look at the numbers in Victoria today. It's back over 100, the coronavirus cases.
Yeah, 114 here. So just yesterday, a federal source says the numbers are moving in the right direction. There's been a lot of achievement, but there's a significant way to go. So what's being reported this morning, 114 new cases, 11 deaths. Yesterday, the number coming under 100 gave people some hope. I don't think there's any doubt that both Stage 4 and Stage 3 restrictions will go longer than had been flagged or anticipated. If we can look at the curve, you'll see what the shutdowns and lockdowns have done. But the issue is that it's going to be longer than a 6-week lockdown, it seems. However, I guess the hope's got to be that Victoria returns to normal in time for Christmas, Kieran.
Yeah, we do indeed, certainly do. In terms of the broader state border issue, though, there remains a real difference. Can they get some compromise on what defines a COVID hotspot?
Well, that is the absolute key question here, Kieran. So Scott Morrison, Josh Frydenberg, they can come out as many times as they want and say, we're coming to a number on hotspots, we're getting medical advice. If they can't get Queensland and WA to agree to that, bear in mind their decisions are based on elections over the next 6 months, we're just not going to get there. So maybe they rely on the High Court to open borders up in the Palmer case or some other mechanism. I think one thing they could do is threaten those states, well, we'll take away JobKeeper. They won't, of course, because the coalition needs Queensland and WA, but something drastic needs to occur on this front because it's really hurting the economy. And if you look at the unemployment figures we saw last month, the states with the most unemployment, over 8%, are the ones with border shutdowns, plus the Northern Territory, Queensland and WA.
And finally, Andrew, before you go, I think the Federal Treasurer gets annoyed with me when I mention the New South Wales Treasurer, Dominic Perrottet, and his push for proper reform, don't you think?
Well, certainly, and I think the indications are that the federal government has been leading us all on in terms of their determination for reform. Let's see them prove me wrong. I think there'll be some IR reform. We've seen that with the JobKeeper program, but there won't be the big tax reform they flagged. There'll probably be some company tax cuts, bring forward income tax cuts. He was saying there, Josh Frydenberg, we are already reforming. I don't think the appetite is there with the 2-seat majority to go for the full reform. I think there's an opportunity in terms of an increase in the GST and cutting other taxes because they've raised the job seeker rate. So the concern's always been the concern on the poor. They could say, well, we've raised the job seeker rate, so that allows us to increase the GST so we can get more revenue to pay all this debt back. But he doesn't want to do that, Josh Frydenberg, it seems to me, from his comments this morning, Kieran.